In the softest hour of night, when the stars lie low enough to whisper to the sea, Heracles stands upon the shore, his eyes reflecting the trembling shimmer of distant constellations. He does not move quickly, nor does the moment call for action. There is only presence, a man of broad shadow and gentle breath, standing barefoot in the meeting place of tide and silence. Before him, the sea exhales a memory. Out from the slow curl of waves, a shape begins to form, not in defiance of the stillness, but as part of it. A pale bull, luminous and calm, steps onto the sand. His coat holds the color of sea foam at dawn, that faintest shimmer before the sun can speak. With each step, the sand does not scatter, it sighs, folding softly beneath his weight, as though the earth had been expecting him. Heracles does not speak. His task, though whispered across the land, is not yet real in this moment. Instead, he watches, not with judgment, but with the deep quiet of someone who knows how to wait. Around him, the island of Crete sleeps beneath a gentle sky. The cypress trees lean toward one another in their dreams. The winds have gone elsewhere. There is only the hush of tide and the low hum of being. The bull's eyes, vast and reflective, do not search. They simply are pools of dusklight, and something older still. He does not lower his head, nor raise it in challenge. Instead, he pauses near a tide pool, where his reflection trembles beside that of the man. The two shapes ripple together in the water, like myths that once were separate, but now begin to blur. Heracles steps forward once, slowly, the way one walks through a memory. His presence carries neither weight nor urgency. The sea behind him gives no encouragement, no command. He has not come to conquer, he has come to understand. There is a quiet understanding between man and creature, spoken not in words, but in stillness. Both have been shaped by stories whispered in rooms lit by oil lamps, told in the hush between wars, remembered by dreamers who watch the sky instead of sleeping. Some say Poseidon shaped the bull from foam and starlight, letting him rise from the deep without roar or rage, only breath. Some say Crete once bloomed differently, that flowers opened wider and rivers flowed slower when the bull first walked the land. These things are not verified, but they are known in the way myths become truths once they enter the bloodstream of a place. Heracles looks not with awe, but with a softness rarely spoken of in the old songs. He sees not a challenge, but a moment, one to step into gently, like a pool just before dawn. The bull lowers his head, not in defeat, not in greeting, but in quiet continuation. He turns slowly, hooves pressing shallow crescent moons into the sand, and begins to walk inland, not beckoning, not waiting, only moving. Heracles follows, not because he must, but because something in the silence says the path is already there. The wind returns, only a trace, and carries with it the scent of herbs growing wild on Crete's hillsides. It brushes against his skin like a memory of childhood or the soft edge of sleep. Together they leave the shore, not as hunter and hunted, but as figures etched into the same unfolding dream. The moon watches, and the sea, content for now, folds itself into slow rhythm behind them. Let your breath drift here, like tide meeting. Tide. There is nothing to chase, only soft footsteps in sand. The path leads upward, gentle and unbroken, winding through fields where grasses lean without breeze. Their movement is not from wind, but from the passing of the white bull. A shift so subtle, it feels like the memory of movement rather than its presence. Behind him, Heracles walks at a pace that neither follows nor lags. as if the rhythm of the land has set his stride. The meadow stretches like a blanket woven by light. Moonbeams lie softly upon wild thyme and pale daisies, their petals cut like tiny vessels of night. Here, even the insects seem to hum more slowly, if they stir at all. Somewhere far off, the sea continues its hush, but in this place, its voice is muffled by distance and sleep. In this meadow, time folds like silk. It is not a place of beginnings or endings, but of continuance. The bull does not turn back, and Heracles does not look ahead. There is no destination, only motion that feels like rest. Among the tall grass, creatures of the field peer out, soft-eyed hares, their ears still, and birds with folded wings tucked against lavender roots. None flee, none watch with alarm. They see Heracles as the land sees him, as part of something older than story, deeper than reason, not intruding, not disturbing, simply present. The hill bends slightly, and from its crest, the sea is visible. Again, a silver sheet brushed with charcoal blue, quiet as breath held in sleep. Heracles pauses, sensing the fullness of that view. Though the bull continues without pause, there is no sense of separation between them. The silence ties them together, strand by strand, like mist weaving through reeds. He lowers himself into a seated rest amid the meadow's fragrant hush. The grasses part willingly, as if they too wish to hold him for a moment. His fingers trail through the green, not to grasp, but to feel. The scent of crushed chamomile rises around him, warm and clean and ancient. He closes his eyes, and the world does not darken. Instead, it glows inward, like the dim light behind closed lids when the sun has just set. Heracles does not think of the labors ahead, or those behind. There is no sense of burden, only a stillness vast enough to carry anything without effort. The land has absorbed many stories, and none weigh heavy here. Each footstep, each breath, dissolves into the meadow like stardust into sky. He opens his eyes and sees the bull far below now, standing at the edge of a grove. The creature does not wait, but neither does he vanish. The white form gleams against the olive-dark trees, like a thought returning softly in sleep. Heracles rises, slow as mist lifting from stone. He continues onward, down through the field, through the hush, through the unseen rhythm that connects foot to soil, gaze to light, myth to breath. And as he moves, the meadow seems to sigh, not in longing or farewell, but in contentment, like a song remembered without needing to be sung. Far across the island, where marble meets sky and terraces overlook the gentle slope of the world, a queen stands still among her dreaming columns. The palace breathes with the rhythm of sleeping servants and flickering oil lamps, but she does not join their rest. Instead, she watches, not with worry, but with the quiet attention of someone who listens more deeply with her eyes. Posipo, beloved of moonlight and herbs, lifts her gaze beyond the stone balustrades, past the orchards where figs sleep in clusters, toward the sea that hums faintly at the edge of hearing. She knows this sound well, not as something distant, but as something folded into her very breath. The waves carry more than salt. They carry memory, and within that memory is a shimmer she cannot name, only feel. The queen's robes fall softly around her like woven dusk, their folds catching starlight in whispering threads. Beside her, an amphora gathers dew. A vine curls along the wall. These small things keep her company in the silence, and she greets them not as objects, but as familiar presences. She does not need to speak aloud. Her silence is fluent. There is a part of her that remembers not events, but impressions. The night when the white bull first stepped from the water, the hush that moved through the olive groves, the feeling of being watched by something not dangerous, but eternal. She had stood in this very spot, the air touched by the same moon, the same breath of sea, and she had felt it, that he had not come to disrupt, but to remind. Now, once again, the island breathes differently. The trees seem to hold their leaves more gently. The wells taste sweeter, and she knows, without knowing how, that Heracles walks the land, his steps as quiet as those of the bull he follows. She does not picture him. She does not imagine a meeting or an end. Instead, she lets the awareness rest in her, as one lets lavender steep in warm water, releasing only what is needed. Somewhere in the palace, a child shifts in sleep, and the low murmur of a lyre, played too slowly to be heard, trails down a hallway. Time here is long, braided like hair left to dry under moonlight. Pasiphae places her hand upon the stone ledge and closes her eyes, not in sorrow, not in longing, but in welcome stillness. She does not wish to change anything. She only wishes to be awake for it. The sea does not rise. The stars do not fall. Everything holds gently in its place. And in the garden below, a white bloom unfolds, though no one has touched it, and no wind passes near. Let your thoughts settle here, in a gaze that reaches no farther than breath, no closer than the sea. Their trunks twist in slow spirals, bark furrowed like rivers turned to stone. The olives, small and dusky, hang heavy on slender branches, though no hand reaches for them. Beneath their canopy, the air breathes differently, thick with scent and silence, softened by 1,000 seasons folding over one another like silk. Heracles walks beneath them with the care of someone who does not wish to be noticed. His steps press lightly into earth, darkened by years of fallen fruit, where generations of roots lie hidden in a hush deeper than sleep. The grove does not turn toward him, but it does not turn away. It holds space for his passing the way sky holds stars, loosely, but with reverence. He touches nothing, yet he feels everything. A slow breeze threads its way through the leaves, carrying with it the cool fragrance of crushed time and the faint mineral hush of distant cliffs. The bull is no longer in view, yet Heracles does not search. The journey has lost its lines. There is no chase, no point of arrival, only movement shaped by something softer than purpose. Above, the olive leaves flicker like quiet coins, not gold, but a pale green touched by starlight. They whisper, not in voices, but in motion, like a language meant for dreams. Heracles closes his eyes for a moment. The world does not vanish. Instead, it folds around him more closely, a quilt of sense and gentle shadow, of memory and soil. He remembers other groves, ones whose air was thick with noise, where tasks were heavy and time measured in breathless effort. But not here. This grove has no need of memory. It does not recall the deeds of men, nor the names they carry. It holds only presence, and Heracles now becomes part of it. At the center of the grove lies a stone, smooth and pale, nestled beneath an arching branch. He sits, not from weariness, but from invitation, as if the stone had waited for his weight all these years. The warmth of it seeps into him, and he exhales, not deeply, not with release, but like a thread unspooling slowly. There is a hum in the leaves, not sound, but sensation. He feels it at the base of his skull, at the bend of his knees, at the edge of thought. It tells him nothing and everything, that he is here, that the bull is near. that this moment, like all others, need not be held tightly to be real. A night bird sings once, low and round, then returns to silence. Heracles does not look up. The stars are present without being seen. The sky continues its slow turning. All is still, but not empty. There is fullness here, the kind that does not speak, the kind that simply is. And somewhere beyond the trees, the bull breathes. That breath, carried on the air, reaches him like a lullaby meant for no one and everyone. There is a place on the island where even the wind seems to pause, as if folding itself into a shawl of stillness. A small garden, forgotten by mapmakers and too gentle to be named, lies nestled between low hills wrapped in fig and myrtle. Time moves differently here. Not slower, not faster, but as though it has chosen not to count. Heracles steps into this space with quiet familiarity, though he has never seen it before. The grass is soft underfoot, cool with dew, though no clouds linger. Each plant, each leaf, each curved path seems arranged not by human hand, but by the breath of the earth itself. Laurel and lavender line the edges like watchful companions. At the heart of it all, standing where no shadows fall, is the bull. He is not grazing, he is not alert. He is simply there, still as carved moonstone, yet breathing in a rhythm that matches the hush around him. The air parts gently as Heracles approaches, not from fear, but to make room, as if recognizing two shapes that belong to the same silence. They do not meet as figures in contrast. There is no opposition between them. Heracles comes not as solver of riddles or lifter of burdens. He comes as one comes to a pool of still water, to observe without stirring. The bull turns his head. In that small movement is a softness rarely spoken of, the kind seen in the last light over a quiet field, or in the way a mother hums without sound. His eyes, wide and calm, reflect the pale sky without interruption. There is space between them, a few steps of grass, and yet the space feels full of all that does not need saying. The bull lowers his head, not in greeting, but in presence. Heracles responds without movement. A shared pause becomes the language. Around them, the garden listens. The breeze, when it finally returns, is no more than a thread, winding gently through jasmine and reed. It carries no urgency, only a reminder that the world continues even when it chooses not to speak. Heracles kneels, not in reverence, not in surrender, but because the earth here feels meant to be touched. He places his palm upon the ground. The grass bends easily, not in retreat, but in trust. The soil beneath is cool, as if it remembers the shape of morning. He breathes in, slowly, and the garden answers. A single petal falls from a flower not shaken by wind. It lands near the bull's hoof and is not noticed, but it matters. Everything here matters, quietly, gently, without effort. The bull steps forward once, then pauses, then steps again. Each movement without weight, like a cloud passing through shadow. Heracles rises and does not reach for the reins he does not carry. There is no binding here, no direction, only agreement. They walk, side by side, into a deeper part of the garden. The air thickens slightly with sweetness. Figs ripening, honey left open, something ancient and kind. The path they take is unmarked, yet somehow it has always been there, and the wind folds itself once more, resting gently along the hedgerow. Its journey paused to witness the quiet shape of still companionship. Breathe slowly now, as though you are the breeze resting in a garden untouched by time. The path they follow is not made of stone or soil, but of something quieter, a shimmer beneath the surface of thought. It is not drawn upon the land, but gently suggested by the way light bends through olive branches and the way certain shadows seem to fold aside at just the right time. Heracles walks without question. The bull moves ahead, his presence never loud, never leading, only existing, as if the world curves softly around his steps. Between them, silence flows like water warmed by morning sun. The landscape shifts gradually, the trees thin, the garden falls behind, though its scent lingers in the folds of Heracles' cloak. They move now through low hills, covered in herbs that do not rise higher than the ankles: marjoram, mint, soft-leaved sage. The plants release their fragrances not as warnings or signals, but as gifts, unnoticed by all but those who move slowly enough to listen. Above them, the sky has paled, though no sun has risen. The stars remain visible, faint and blurred like forgotten names on old parchment. And there, above the crest of the next hill, a soft light begins to glow. Not golden, not harsh. It is a cool radiance, the kind that one might imagine in dreams before waking. It hums without sound, steady as breath, distant but certain. The bull moves toward it. Heracles does not ask what it is. He feels it before he thinks of it, a drawing forward, not of purpose, but of peace. It is not a signal, it is not a goal, it is something older than both. The earth rises slightly beneath their feet. Pebbles shimmer with dew. A cluster of moths, pale as pearls, drift lazily above a patch of yarrow, then vanish into a fold of shadow. The night does not resist them. It does not resist anything. It only opens, gently, as though the world itself is exhaling. The light ahead remains unchanged. It does not flare or beckon. It simply holds its place, as if it has always been there, a steady glow beneath the layers of what can be seen. And Heracles, in following it, begins to feel that he is not approaching something new, but returning to something long remembered. The bull pauses, his form outlined now by that distant radiance. He does not look back. He does not need to. In the quiet between them, everything is understood. Heracles continues forward. There is no tension in his body, no weight behind his steps. The cloak upon his shoulders rests like evening itself, not heavy, not light, simply present. His hands do not reach for anything. His thoughts do not race. He simply moves. The terrain flattens. The grasses turn silver at the tips, brushing against their ankles like sleep brushing against the edge of awareness. A stone arch, half buried in earth and time, emerges from the hillside. Not a gateway, not a boundary, but a suggestion. They pass beneath it without slowing, and the light, that soft, humming presence, draws no nearer. Yet it fills the space more completely, as though its true place is not ahead, but within. The bull stops again, not at an ending, but at a moment. And in that moment, Heracles understands something without naming it, that every step has led him not to a task, not to a test, but to this, a meeting in the presence of something vast and still and kind. The hill levels into a gentle plateau, where the sky leans closer to the earth, as if wishing to listen. Here, space widens without becoming vast, a place where everything seems held in a soft pause. There are no sharp edges, no sudden lines. The world curves gently, like the inside of a seashell. Heracles and the bull stand together at the edge of this open hush. They do not face each other. They do not move. They simply exist within the same stillness, like two thoughts floating in the same breath of sleep. the light that pale and distant glow they have walked toward settles not above them, not beyond, but all around. It is not a fire, nor a torch, nor a star. It is a light that exists only where silence is deepest, and in that light their forms soften. The bull's white coat catches the glow in long, slow waves, not shining, but absorbing, as if every part of him had been shaped from moonlit milk and stone. His breath, barely visible, rises like morning mist curling from a cup of water left outside overnight. Heracles remains still. The breeze moves past him, as though carrying the scent of every moment that led him here. The olive grove, the sea, the hidden garden. But he does not turn back. The past is not behind him. It is folded gently into the air. Their presence together forms a kind of balance. Not a test, not a lesson, but an alignment of two shapes that echo one another without becoming the same. The man, born of memory and dust. The bull, born of wave and God. Neither interrupts the other, neither defines the other. They simply stand, until even the word stand no longer feels needed. There is a moment, not marked by gesture, not noticed by time, when their gazes meet. The bull's eyes are wide and slow, carrying not thoughts, but the reflection of a sky that has forgotten how to hurry. Heracles does not search within them. He receives them like he would the surface of a lake, without judgment, without need to understand. The light grows softer. The grass beneath their feet glows faintly with moisture, not dew, but a kind of kindness the earth offers in rare places. Insects hum without wings, stones rest without weight, and somewhere above them, clouds move as if asleep. There is no sound, yet something is said. Without moving his lips, without shaping words, Heracles offers something unspoken, not a vow, not a question, but the gentle acceptance of this moment as it is. He does not ask the bull to come. He does not need to. The bull steps forward, not toward him, not away, just forward. A single, calm step, and then another. Heracles turns, slowly, as if his body had already begun the motion long before his mind caught up. Together, they begin to walk once more. Not side by side, not in a line, but within the same rhythm. There is no task remaining, only the quiet continuation of movement. The horizon stretches before them, soft and undefined, like the edge of a thought not yet fully dreamt. Breathe here at the edge of the world, where silence does not end, and togetherness asks for nothing. The sky is no darker than before, but it feels deeper now, as if it, too, has listened and learned. Heracles walks with the bull behind him, not following, not led, simply moving within the same stillness. They do not speak. There is nothing to name, nothing to claim. The night holds everything they carry. The path is not the one they came by, yet it is familiar in the way that dreams sometimes revisit forgotten corners of the heart. Stones glow faintly beneath their feet, brushed by dew and memory. Low shrubs lean inward, clearing the way with a silence so kind it almost hums. No birds stir, no insects cry out. The world has turned inward for this passage, not to observe, but to accompany. Even the breeze joins them softly, not to cool, but to remember. Heracles feels no burden in his limbs. Each step moves of its own accord, guided not by muscle, but by the agreement between foot and earth. His arms swing lightly, his shoulders carry no weight. The labors behind him do not press forward. The ones ahead do not call, only the rhythm of now remains. The bull follows at a perfect distance, neither close nor far. He moves like a thought, accepted, not intrusive, not urgent, just present. In his hooves is no sound, in his breath, no message, yet everything about him speaks of seaborn quiet, of divine hush, of something brought forth not to challenge, but to witness. The village lights below the hill are dim and scattered, like embers left to cool. No one waits outside, no one stirs, and yet the island itself seems to shift gently as they pass a door creaking open in sleep, a curtain lifting to moonlight. Heracles does not arrive. He continues. The return is not a moment. It is a movement that began long before the first step and will echo long after the last. There is no arrival call, no celebration, no task checked from a list. There is only a presence that was needed and now is. By the edge of the olive grove, a single fig falls from a branch without sound. The grass accepts it without question. The stars blink slower now. Heracles stops. He turns his head, not quickly, and the bull comes to rest a few paces behind. Their eyes meet once more, not with farewell, not with promise, but with the softness of beings who have shared stillness, who have walked together through a world that asked nothing of them but to be. The bull lowers his head to graze. Heracles turns again and continues alone. The garden, the path, the light, all remain somewhere behind, like the last echo of a lullaby. But within him they have settled, and as he walks, his breath joins the rhythm of sleep all around, of children in their dreams, of trees exhaling under starlight, of the sea brushing against Crete's gentle shore. Rest now, as Heracles returns to quiet paths, carrying nothing but calm. You are no longer walking, you are resting quietly in the soft breath of night, where olive leaves sway without sound, and the air hums with a story that asks nothing of you but to listen. You have followed footsteps through meadows and starlit groves, and now you are still. There is no path ahead, no echo behind, only the slow rhythm of your breath, matching the hush of ancient trees. You are not alone here, though the story has softened into silence. Its presence remains not as words, but as warmth, a low and steady warmth, like earth beneath bare feet, or the familiar weight of a woven blanket draped gently over your shoulders. The white bull remains, somewhere in the folds of your thoughts, not needing to be seen. His breath is slow, his steps eternal. Heracles too walks onward, not away from you, but into the same soft distance your dreams now open into. Let your body become lighter. Let your limbs settle like stones in a riverbed, smoothed by stillness, cradled by time. There is nothing to do here, nothing to prove. The myth has ended not with triumph, but with peace, and that peace is yours. Now, the garden waits for no one, yet it welcomes all. You are already there, you are already resting, and the night, kind and endless, holds you gently in its arms.